Happy What We Watch Wednesday. Robert, welcome to the stage. Waiting on Tej to go ahead and join.
But for real though, that was kind of a boring Super Bowl.
Well,
Unless you
I
like
wouldn't
defense.
I wouldn't know about the out of the arena experience. I wouldn't know. If it was boring on TV, I'm not shocked. I had no dog in the fight. I will say that Seahawks fans are probably the nicest group of NFL fans I've ever been around.
Oh, you
They
haven't hung
are
out with any Bears fans then?
are the
Mm,
Bears fans nicer? Um,
not really.
they are great. They are great. They're the nicest. Seahawks fans are the nicest. Robert, welcome. Tej, come on in.
So on industry though,
TJ, join the space. Join the space. Jesus. Yelling at TJ to join the space. Welcome, welcome. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. We're chatting
so
industry. And I would like for everyone to know that we are actually 2 episodes behind on what we watch. So we get to talk about 2 episodes today. Isn't that great? I am so excited. Hi, Ricky Buzz. Welcome to the stage. Robert, TJ, welcome, welcome. Our lovely co-host. So TJ and I had a little fight today about who was gonna run down the 2 episodes. But we have an opportunity to review. So much has happened. So much is happening. This what season are we on? Season 4, TJ?
Yeah, season.
Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. We've got so many new characters. We've got so much more new drama. Kit Harrington is eating things up. I said this last chat, and I'm going to say it again. But basically, spoiler alert if you're joining us, we're talking Industry HBO episodes 4 and 5.
I think that's right.
Yeah, 4 and 5. So first of all, the we're just gonna go over like the big ticket items that have been happening on these last 2 episodes. Number one, Rishi jumping off of a balcony. Yes, I just said that, but if you've really been watching the show, we shouldn't even be that shocked. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't even be a thing. Number two, we've got a woman that Yasmin is kind of promoted, calling her mommy and showing her ass getting off the elevator. We've got that. We've got that. We've got Yasmin probably on the verge of getting cheated on by her man's kind of right hand man in this Tender 2.0 acquisition IPO bunch of lies. We've got Sweet Pea kind of cooking, not kind of, absolutely 100% cooking. I told y'all in this last one of these last chats, I told y'all that Sweet Pea was gonna cook. I told y'all Sweet Pea's ascension was happening, and y'all should listen to me because you see it. Now, of course, Harper is going to dismantle everyone because she just can't possibly deal with that. Speaking of Harper, we've got Harper's mother, who's apparently died going to get an Amazon delivery. There was some undertones there. There was some kind of there was something there to be said about that for sure. So we've got this like rare moment of Harper grieving. We've got Henry Muck, Kit Harrington's character, kind of really going off on stage, which these types of moments remind me of like The Studio by Seth Rogen, Succession. These moments where like the person that has like so much money and so much on the line but honestly doesn't like need it gets really nervous and vulnerable and is able to like go on stage and has to like prove themselves. It's a really cool thing that a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies do, where you kind of get to see the vulnerability behind these people that are just constantly in front of people, constantly in the limelight, constantly trying to make money and not lose it, and then they're just like, oh, we got to go on the stage and do it. So I have been loving industry to teach. What are some of the moments that have been standing out for you for the last couple of episodes?
I think the dynamic between Yasmin and her assistant are great because Yasmin kind of, when we pointed out in a previous space that when she decided to confide in Yasmin, she couldn't have picked a worse person to confide in. And of course, Yasmin tried to leverage that after she brings her into bed, and they have the kind of threesome with Henry, where she's sitting in the cuck chair. All of a sudden, Yash tries, she tells Yash she feels uncomfortable, and Yash tries to leverage the fact that she was assaulted or may have been assaulted by the reporter, who we don't know whether he assaulted her and now he's dead, which is also something that happened in the last two episodes. And so kind of to see that flip on its head, and the way Yasmin is now, losing. Not only is her husband doing some homoerotic stuff with Whitney, but after his big speech, he runs past Yaz and runs into the arms of Whitney, which is kind of crazy. Then the assistant ducks on Yaz, showing that, hey, I know who you are. I've seen you. Like, you're not hiding from me. I know who you are. And then we have the thing with the reporter where he's getting close to the story that we know now to be a real story, and we know now that Tender actually is running a financial fraud and basically propped up by nothing. But the reporter loses his life. Maybe you think that that was just a random guy in a bar. I tend to think that Whitney or someone at Tinder specifically had this man killed, and in the process could have also killed Rishi, but instead, kind of the crime is followed on Rishi because this happens to happen at Rishi's apartment. It seems like Rishi was truthful when he told the reporter that Harper had cut him off, and had ghosted him. I thought he was just saying that to get in the good graces of the reporter, but now it seems like that may be the case, and now we see that Rishi is facing manslaughter charges, even though we know that he didn't killed this reporter.
Right.
Also, we found out that people think, vis-a-vis Sweet Pea, that people think that Rishi killed his wife. Now, we know that he didn't kill his wife, but we also know his wife was killed because of him and his decisions. And so we have a lot going on. We also have more sex going on in this episode. We have Sweet Pea having a conversation about her OnlyFans, and all of a sudden she sleeps with Quabana, I think that's his name. She sleeps with him. He also has been sleeping with Harper. So now there's that weird dynamic. And we just have a lot brewing in these last two episodes that I've really, really enjoyed these last two episodes. I think they've been fucking phenomenal. And this whole season has just
Yeah,
been
let
great.
me hop in here because like I think we gotta kind of pause on the Yasmin Henry Muck, like what's the girl's name? Haley trifecta, right? Like, I think we need to pause on that because that was a scene that really stuck out to me where Yasmin, right after Yasmin kind of shits on a woman of whom she's been in like the same position, mind you. Like this show is so good because there's no closed or there's no open loops. Every loop is closed. Everything that every character goes through, you can kind of see them try to put another character through it. And it's this endless vicious cycle of the industry, right? In every industry. And so we cut right from seeing Yasmin kind of just like be so insidious in like providing a safe space for Haley to like talk about her trauma, but she's really just being a bitch. Like she's really just trying to use this woman. She's really just trying to gain some power. Why is she trying to gain power? Everything in this game is about power. It's not really about money because once you have all the money, your insecurities come out because you don't have any power. It's about the power that she is losing in her relationship. And so in the episode where she's, sucking the oyster nut out of Haley, there's that she's trying to establish some power, like y'all are going to do what I say. You're not going to go behind my back and cheat on me and fuck anybody. You're going to do it in front of me and I'm going to tell you to do it and what to do at every moment. So then we turn around and we see that the same thing before Henry Muck goes on stage, and she's like, oh, I have so much power over this woman, let me make her feel like I'm there for her, but really she's wrapped around my finger. And that's flipped on its head immediately because Haley's like, thanks mommy, which Haley is like, girl, you don't even fucking know me. Like, you think you're just providing this safe space? And then on top of that, Yasmin gets slapped across the face again when Henry, like TJ was saying, runs directly to Whitney. Imagine you with your man, your husband, the one that got on one knee to propose to you, And he has one of the biggest speeches since one of his biggest failures, biggest out of the limelight, biggest drug abuse, kind of awful things. And one of the biggest speech that he has pertinent to the success of this new business venture. And he gets a standing ovation, round of applause for his sincerity. And he gets off the stage, and you're like, good job, baby. And he Heisman and goes to Whitney. He goes to a man that you just walked in on, and that man had his hand on your man's shoulder. First of all, shout out to all the sexual fluidity in this episode. But like Tej, right? Like that's kind of wild. Ricky Buzz, welcome to the stage. How did you feel about that scene? Like, cause there was a lot going on.
Well, I have been pointing out, as you know,
Hold on, let me let Ricky Buzz speak real quick. Go ahead, Ricky. You're muted, Ricky.
Oh, hello? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, whatever Whitney said to him prior to him giving that speech obviously showed that Henry has a lot more trust and confidence in him. And on top of that, too, earlier in the episode, we see Yasmin try to instigate another session between her, Muck, and Henry. Or her, Henry, and Haley. And he's like, I'm
Hmm.
not having it. It seems like you want to do this power play stuff. So he's more or less going more towards Whitney because he's seeing like, hey, you're actually taking me seriously. And
Yes.
with Yasmin, I guess she's just seeing it as like, you're just wanting me to be in this position with your connections. That way you get a pat on the back. Whereas this guy actually sees something in me. So that's the reason why it's right
And
past her to go hug Whitney.
and remember, Yasmin just got a kind of a big win, kind of against Harper and the journalists and what Sterntow, right? Like Yasmin had just gotten a big comms win off of that when she kind of got ahead of the article that was coming out and kind of shit on them. But Tej, and I'll let you go. I will let you know exactly what Whitney said to Henry before he got on stage. He said, "Look, man." Just go out there. And I think he said, did he say be vulnerable? He said, go out there and like tell them what's on your conscience. Something like that, right, Tej? It was like, tell them
yeah,
what's on your conscience. Be vulnerable. And I think it's a big deal, right? Because I think it's like this show is so meta. Like the writers are also like shout out to Conrad and Mickey as always. I'm sorry. Is it? Yeah, it's Conrad and Mickey. Yeah, shout out to both of them as always. Shout out to what we watch and the support. But they're like tapped in. Like they were finance bros that got into the entertainment world. Everyone has Instagram slash Twitter slash whatever, and everyone is aware of like the social media space, the interwebs, that universe. And I feel like it was just so poignant for him to be like, you know what? You know what the internet lacks? Sincerity. There's just not, it's a lot of performance. It's a lot of I know what you want me to hear and I know the algorithm, so I'm gonna do what that is. And so we just kind of that bubble is about to burst. And so Henry Mux is like, yeah, like let me not pretend that I just had the worst time in my life. Let me acknowledge that. Let me not pretend that I didn't just fucking fail miserably in front of hundreds of millions of people for hundreds of millions of dollars. Why would I pretend that didn't happen? I'm not going to come in here and be like, yo, I'm still him. No, like, yeah, that kind of fucked me up, guys. That's why I was fucked up. That's why I was abusing drugs. And so it was that sincerity, right? Sincerity is the rarest commodity. I wrote that down when I watched this episode because it's true. It's true. When are you sincere with your investors, with your audience? When are you sincere? Or are you just performing? So of course, you see Yasmin. Now Yasmin is posited as this non-sincere person because she fucking isn't. Look what she just did, making that girl try to be vulnerable and open up to her when you're not, that's not a sincere thing. Whitney is like, hey man, you've got it. Just, share what's on your conscience. Go ahead, Teach.
yeah. I think that first of all, as I tend to do, I clocked the kind of sexual overtones between Henry and Whitney fairly early. I don't think that
Sure.
Yaz has clocked that. I find it very interesting that she has one employee that she's putting in the middle of their sex life, while it may be that there may be another person who works for the company that that maybe Muck is more Henry's more interested in sexually. Also, too, we did not mention that Yaz is now the head of comms for Tinder. And she got that moment where she got to fire the douchey white guy who was like, "Hey,
Well, that's what I was just saying. She got that big win for
yes."
comms. I
So
was just saying that. Yeah.
she's now the head of comms. What do you know how Kanye said like I like Lady Gaga songs? What the fuck does she know about cameras? What does Yaz know about communications? This season starts and Yaz is all of a sudden an expert in communications. She's going to crash and burn miserably because now we know that Harper knows and the editor knows that Tinder is a fraud. So Yaz is not only now the head of communications, she's the head of communications at a time where Tinder is about to go through their most turbulent time because now Stern Tao and soon the rest of the world will know that Tinder is a fraud. And now you not only are a fraud, but you have the worst possible commerce person ever. And it's just going to be an epic disaster. And I just can't fucking wait to see how it plays out. Yasmin, you
Yo,
don't know
I
shit
was
about
like,
comms.
whoa. I was like, whoa, when you brought up a Kanye reference, but you cooked on that Kanye reference. Here's the thing. Yeah, I don't know what Yaz knows about comms either, but that's her man's company. All right. I know this isn't like nepotism, but whatever you want to call it, yeah, can I have something? I mean, she also just promoted Haley under her. What does Haley know about anything? And that's why old dude that got replaced was mad. He was like, "So, this young pretty girl, cause she your wife, now she head of comms. Interesting.
He made a
It's
reference
very
that you
interesting."
understood that I had to Google when he got
Yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you for sharing that. Yo, speaking of, before we get into all the sex of it all, TJ, you cooked, but you missed one sexual thing. And you were like, are they finna have sex? And I was like, the one human being on this planet that watches every TV show and sexes everyone and puts everyone in sex together is questioning if these two people that are locking eyes are gonna have sex. Ricky Buzz, how did you feel about them two having sex, Sweet Pea and Quabena. How did you feel about that? Like, because we got the response from Harper soon thereafter. How did you feel about that?
I had a feeling it was coming. The fact that he volunteered to go, and the fact that it's obviously all right, both of them are going to be out in Africa.
Did you think that Harper knew? Like when they volunteered to go together, did you think Harper was
Oh
like
no,
concerned about that?
no.
I don't think so either.
Well, no. But during that
I
time,
think she was
well,
shook when Sweet Pea told her.
during that time frame, she also is coming off of the fact she just lost her mom, so I'm sure she's like trying to provide emotional support for Sweet Pea, and Sweet Pea's not having it in that moment in time. She's just like, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. You can deal with it. How you going to deal with it? I'm tired."
Right. I've had a rough time in Ghana, but I did what I needed to do from the company. Don't forget, Harper is gonna fuck this woman over no matter what happens. Last but not least, let's talk about the sex of it all in Rishi. Sex of it all in Rishi. Rishi has not had any sex that I can think of. However, he was getting head, and the woman was doing drugs in the car. Correct? Is that these last couple
Oh yeah.
episodes? Yeah. Teach, talk to us a little bit about the Rishi arc. It's one of the most impressive character arcs I've seen on TV, and I know I could be hyperbolic, but I'm not kidding. I mean, you rarely get to see a character try to end their lives, trigger warning, and then they don't succeed, and then you show all the gruesome, and it's just like a financial TV show. I mean, it's not just, but you know what I mean? Like, this is a show about shorts and bears and things like that. And we're getting like broken ankles after an attempted thing because he was going to accidentally be blamed for yet another homicide, murder, suicide, whatever you want to call it. He was going to get pinned yet again for another crime that he was only just kind of responsible for, which might be Rishi's kind of kryptonite. Like, no one is in the wrong place at the wrong time more than Rishi. And then not only that, but he's not just like some victim. You are the perpetrator of your own demise, right? Tej, what do you think?
we literally saw a character Rishi hit rock bottom, And I just find that so fascinating because when his wife gets murdered at the end of last season, we're thinking that's his rock bottom, but it wasn't. We also found out that like they're basically the his wife's family is going to change his kid's name, like to get the Rishi name off of him. So like this guy is just losing everything. Everything is crumbling, and now he's going to get framed for a crime that he didn't commit. And now he jumps off of the building. There was like water in the background. I was like, okay, maybe he's going to jump into some water. Like maybe there's water on both sides of this building, but there weren't. And the sound that you hear, shout out to the Foley artist, when he hits that ground is just sickening. It's horrifying. Then you see that his legs are all fucked up like the Dave Chappelle, Charlie Murphy skit where his legs are all like the like what I'm supposed to do about my legs, Charlie Murphy, like his legs were fucked up. He's probably never gonna walk again. And we find out now that he's being charged with manslaughter for a crime that he did not commit. It's just things have gone very bad for my guy, and we I can't say that I
That's
feel
your guy.
I can't say I feel bad for him, but it's still not easy to watch him literally hit rock.
Like he's constantly hitting rock bottom, right? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's just constantly hitting rock bottom. I love that you called out the water thing. That was intentional. You editors know what you're doing because you see the water in the background while he's sitting on the edge of the balcony, and you're like, okay, he's just escaping, right? Because we know why he's escaping. The beautiful, by the way, beautiful sound design. This show does such an amazing job of using sound and music and, to your point of the Foley artist and sound effects to really drive like every deep feeling. Like you really be there with these characters, like, damn. And it's all because of the music, because you know how hard it is to like have loud music play with the volume during the TV episode, right? Like this is on TV, play with the volume, also continue to have these overlapping conversations, have these overlapping visual like stimuli on the screen, and it all makes sense. Like none of us were confused about what happened in that scene. There were at least 80 different things happening, but we knew exactly what was happening. We knew exactly what the progression or the regression was. Like we knew. And I think that's just so cool. Industry does that so much where you get just like that beat, that count, and you're like, all right, I know they're about to just go crazy right now. And so seeing Rishi kind of like have his ankles completely torn to shreds, right? Super tendernism on his ankles right now. Like who only knows what's going on there. When he started the episode, like getting head and like getting some phone calls. And it's just wild because not only is he like about to be pinned yet again for a crime that he didn't directly do, gets his child taken away for sure. And before we wrap, can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me, right? I want to talk about what that woman said because this show does not do a lot of religious kind of touch points. And I love the way they did this religious touch point. TJ, Ricky, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when he's sitting with that woman, Rishi's Jesus. When Rishi's sitting with that woman and she's like, all right, yeah, your kid's coming with me. Okay. And this is like the best thing that could happen to you, Rishi. Okay. Because I really kind of want you to just like disappear from Earth. But even your scummy ass is worthy of God's grace. And like I love that. Like I watched that scene a couple of times because you have to be very careful with like Christianity and religion in your like super secular, super HBO Sunday primetime, whatever, like shows. I think it was so cool that they like inserted this religious woman, but she was so very like vile and cutthroat about her religion. She was like, you should not even exist, but I love God more than I hate your fucking guts and think you should like just perish. I do. And so unfortunately, as a Christian, like even you do not fall out of his grace. I thought that was bars. Teach, did you realize that? Like I really enjoyed that part of the episode.
I forgot all about that. I thought that was great. I thought, and I just thought that he brings that conversation up, going back to how they do the volume, which is such a good scene. How they turn up the volume, and it kind of adds to the tension of, you were texting me where you were watching this, and I'm so stressed out because like they're literally ramping up the stress of that scene because something bad is about to happen. I don't know exactly what's about to happen, but the way that there's not just the audio, but it's literally the visual of they keep cutting back to the stereo, and you're seeing him turn up the volume, and it's one just a very well done scene in the way that it's presented on screen. But it also reminded me of Paid in Full. Like if you watch Paid in Full, there's a scene where somebody gets kidnapped and they're about to finally realize they're not going to get their money. They're going to kill someone, and they turn the music up really loud so you can't hear the gunshot. And it is the most horrifying sound you've ever heard because in a split second, once the volume goes from 2 to 10, like some bad shit is about to happen. It sends a chill down your spine. It's just like they are on a different level. Like a scene like that is not something you could have ever saw on the horizon if you watch Industry season one, which is great. But it's just like a different show. And so the fact that they've kind of expanded their book of tricks in their bag, it just shows you one that we're dealing with people who really know what they're doing, but also two, the guy just like I don't want the industry to ever end, but also I can't wait to see what these guys do next because they're just so it's just such a well made show, and I just thought that scene really stuck out to me.
It's super cinematic, right? Like these are things that if TJ, you've made a couple of parallels. We love it what we watch parallel. There's these are things like you kind of like used to seeing in movies, right? Like there's just so much you can do. And I think we kind of forget that these TV shows are a good amount of time. Like a lot of movies are about 90 minutes. So it's just like another 45 in that. And if you watch these two episodes, like right now, what we're talking about is two episodes, which is a movie. It's a full-on movie. And the storytelling is so cohesive and so perfectly paced, which is something I wanted to say too. I know we talk a lot about pacing. Like we've seen the rise and fall of Stern Towel already. We've seen the rise and fall of Tinder already. Like we know these things are coming. And so these scenes, like the one that I was talking about with the volume, and to your point that you kind of expounded on, it reminded me of Marty Supreme as well. And to your point, like the tension that builds, it's also, we're going to use the typical funny juxtaposition of the loud music is only stressful to the people doing fucked up shit and doing drugs because the person that is turning up the music is actually just feeling it. He's vibing. And if you've ever vibed to really loud music, you feel him. So when it cuts to him, you're like, I actually feel you. I'm turning up the music because turn up the music. And then you have the other guy like 2 feet away from him on the couch doing drugs, wanting to end his life. And then you have the other guy just constantly obsessed, talking about how he just assaulted in R worded a woman. Like it is just so much, and this is all in one really, like, I hate to say it, but it's a really gorgeous scene. It's they really tapped into something deep with that one because you would think that like the craziness was Rishi jumping off, but he survived, but it was really just like everything that led up to that, like up to the point of the police knocking on the door and very just casually saying, "Hey, there's a noise complaint." And it's like, no, actually someone's dying inside. Figuratively and literally, someone's dying inside. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Happy what we watch Wednesday.
Wait, wait,
Great.
wait.
Okay, we
We
got
have
we
to
got more to say.
we
Go
have to
ahead.
talk about, and there was an assault in the last episode. We didn't even talk about.
We did talk a little bit about Sweet Pea. That's a difficult thing to talk about. I just brought up that there was assault. I just brought up that there was two, not just one. There was two things that were referenced at least. We also didn't talk a lot about Harper and Eric because that couple ship that they keep referring to, right? We opened at one of these episodes with Eric seeing his wife again and their kid being expelled. Teach, go ahead and take it away.
I just can't. Like, we don't even know whether the white dude, who we didn't talk about either, the employee of the side company of Tinder, who's going to be the whistleblower, but then he's supposed to go back to London with them, but then he never makes it to the flight, so we don't know what the fuck happened to him. But he tells, Sweet Pea tells him where she is. He tells her the beach gets dangerous and we don't know whether he sent somebody over there to beat her up, or he was also saying that he thinks that somebody from Tinder is listening to his phone calls. So it could be somebody else from Tinder. It could be that Whitney did this. I think that it could be that Whitney both had this woman assaulted and also had this journalist killed. We haven't checked back in with Whitney since this stuff happened, but I kind of think the show is like too smart to have Whitney just be like the worst guy ever, getting people clipped and getting people beat up. And like I don't think that that's where the show is going, but it feels like that's what they're showing us. I think it's a trick. I don't know who is doing this, but I think that my hot take is that it's either Muck who got this journalist killed and got Sweet Pea beat up, or it's Yasmin who did these things. And I think that's where we're headed because I think Whitney being the new character and also the big bad who's literally hiring hitmen, I don't think that tracks with what
So
this show does.
Yasmin can't head of comms, but she's a calculated strategic hitman. All right, man.
I think we might be headed in that direction. I'm
All
just keeping my
right,
eye
man.
out. There are two. There's literally a hit and an assault in the last two episodes, and somebody made those calls, and we got to figure out who did that.
Y'all, can I tell speaking of assault, it's so crazy. Look at Happy What We Watch Wednesday. Look at what these shows make us talk about. It's a TV show, guys. But I want to talk a little bit about this journalist that is no longer with us, most likely. The cops are trying to figure that out, right? Is it confirmed? Like I know it's not confirmed, but we should like
Rishi's being charged with manslaughter. That means he's dead.
okay. Rishi's being charged with manslaughter? Like for sure?
Yes, we heard that from in the beginning scene where Harper gets that call, which we now know is from her brother, and she's acting weird. They're talking about Rishi because they've heard the news that he jumped out of that building, and they're saying, "Oh my God, like he broke his legs, and now he's being charged with manslaughter." So that's how we find.
Okay, so amazing how we like start off this season with that character and now he's gone. Like I said, the pacing is incredible. Guys, unfortunately, I don't know if it's TV or a mixture of it all. I thought he was innocent. Oh my gosh. I when he went into that room talking to Rishi, I'm so glad they got rid of that character. I was like, and when I say innocent, no one on this show is innocent, including Rishi, even though he did not actually kill the guy. The guy, just OD'd or whatever. But when he was just like talking about his relationship with women while he was doing the drugs and the comfort of like, the bros, I was horrified. I was like, oh my God, I keep
Yeah,
forgetting like
his
men
algorithm
are
is
actually
nasty
terrible
stuff.
human beings. Like they're terrible. And I'm like, oh no, how did I forget? Because like when everything was happening with Haley and we were talking about it with Yasmin and Henry and like all the things, and just like her journalist or not her journalist, her HR person and publicist like handling it all. I was like, nah, this dude was really just really trying to do his job. Like he's really like a whistleblower and he was, and he also entered and assaulted. And I was just like, dang, they got me. And they rarely get me, but I'm like, dang. And I guess everyone else knew and no, everyone else knew not to, but that's just such good television to get someone like me on that too, to where it's like, dang, I really thought he might have just been like, no, for real. Like, yes, we did some things. And they let me believe it too. Cause when he said it, he was like, she asked me to go down on her and da 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 da. But she was completely done. And no, I didn't stop. And Rishi was like, very casual, like, I hope you stopped, bro, super casually. Like the guy that's about to be charged for manslaughter was super cash about, like, hey, yeah, okay, sound kind of wild. What you're saying is kind of wild. I hope you stopped. He was like, no, I didn't stop. And I was like, oh God. I was so overwhelmed. Ricky, what did you think? I was like, oh my God, did you like even think through that? I was like, oh no. He did. Haley did go through something bad.
Oh, what with Jim Diker?
Yeah, with the assault and everything. Yes, is that his name? Diker. Yeah, that's right, Diker. Yeah,
What?
like were you shocked when he admitted it? I was I the only one? I was like, oh
What?
shoot.
What? He did assault her? I thought he didn't.
No, you were watching the show? Yeah, he did. He was
What?
admitting
Well,
it
we
all up and
we
down.
don't know. Well, I think it's safe to assume that he did because his version even sounded like assault. So I think that's when we know like he assaulted her because he was like, yeah, I didn't do anything, but like, she was like, his version sounded like he assaulted her
Let's
for sure, but we don't
let's
know.
be
Because
let's be clear about his version. Number one, he told the people that like you gotta believe me, like his boss, you gotta believe me, I didn't touch her. Okay, that's what he told his boss. I didn't touch her. Then it was secondly, he goes and he's doing the drugs Rishi and he's in his like super bro mode and he's just casually talking. Mind you, Rishi didn't ask him about anything, so he knows it's heavy on his conscience. That's number one. This is just evidence, just talking evidence. Number two, then he goes, "Yeah, man, she took me back to her place because he didn't break and enter, right? She took me back to her place and asked me to go down on her, and I did." And he said, "Okay, cool." And then I looked up and she was passed out. Okay. So
Yeah,
you
that's a
went down to her, then I looked up and she was passed out, bro. And then Rishi goes, "Oh, okay, hope you stopped there." And he was like, "No, of course not. Are you crazy? Like I'm da 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 da." And then he went off. No, of course I didn't stop. Are you
oh,
crazy?
okay,
That's assault,
okay.
hands down. I don't I don't even think there's like any again, sure we didn't see it on screen, thank God. Right?
It's
So
because the
yeah.
first episode when they meet up in the club, she hands him a pill and he doesn't take it.
Yeah. Yeah. It got me. See, you didn't even know. Like I thought that he didn't for a long time. TJ, you've been kind of quiet on your theory. Were you just like not paying like did you think he was guilty? Be honest. I did
I
not.
thought that they were leaving it intentionally ambiguous, but then when he started getting into his red pill bag, I was like, "Oh, he assaulted that woman." That was when I knew, like, "Oh, he definitely assaulted that woman." But before that, I thought it was kind of ambiguous, and she kind of didn't remember. So I was like, maybe she wasn't actually assaulted. But after we see that that guy probably has a weird algorithm, I was like, "Yeah, this guy assaulted that woman." He
Definitely a theme of this season, right? The weird algorithm. So yeah, you found out the same time I found out. I'm glad that I wasn't the only one in the kind of gray area he might be innocent cuz I was like, but this is industry. We should have known. That he guilty. He did that shit. Speaking of algorithms, so like this show is about that, right? Like this season specifically is about your algorithms. We're talking about the PayPal for Bukaki, right? That was the opener, opening title for this season's episode, the first episode of the season. We're talking about PayPal for Bukaki, which is Tender. We're finding out it's a bunch of fraudulent shit ran through a Ghanaian warehouse that doesn't even know and has an automated voice message, right? Like they're giving away the game on how corporations just make a lot of money. Like they had that beautiful black woman be like, "So you think because a big old check said 50 million that they got 50 million? Are you a dumbass? You're dumb. You think you think we gave away you think we have 50, we don't have shit." And so then you start to like everything starts to unravel. Then you see kind of who's a part of this PayPal for Bukaki and who's whistleblowing the PayPal for Bukaki and who's like trying to like short the PayPal for Bukaki. And it's a bunch of people with most likely terrible algorithms, right? And the PayPal for Bukaki is talking about what people have on their algorithms and we're not a bank, but we're the transactional kind of bridge between the people that want to pay to see these sexual kind of videos online or whatever kind of kinks and stuff. And then it's just so cool that this season is about sex work, but there's like this meta thing it does where it's like very aware of itself. It's like we're not talking about sex work. We're talking about the business that surrounds sex work and how unregulated and how it's a bunch of fucking bullshit, right? And if you're not seeing that, like that's what this season is about from the perspective of industry, right? Like who's the bad guy and who's the good guy? Well, no one really. I mean, Harper is trying to short tender to make sure that she can make some money. And what does Eric say? Eric is like, dude, I already got like millions of dollars in this. Let's not pretend like we're just these like lifesavers and shit. Like we're really trying to fuck up an entire industry. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do and not mess with our money. So I think like the word algorithm is so important, and it's partially the theme here because we're looking at the PayPal for Bukaki. We're looking at this company that is completely fraudulent, built on absolutely nothing but lies. And we're about to see who everyone really is because I could tell you the search the search histories of everyone on this show. Tej, do you agree? Like, I feel like you could say the search history for Yasmin right now.
And nobody on this show have a clean search history. I can tell you that.
They search history out here looking like Tej. Thank you so much. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. That was Industry HBO chat post Super Bowl. Shout out to the Super Bowl. Shout out to Benito Bowl. I had a great time at the game, specifically for the Benito Bowl. That's why I was there. Shout out to Baboni. Shout out to Debí tirar más fotos. Enjoy your life. Unity, culture. Let's all respect and love each other. Thank you so much. Hate is the only form, or love is the only form that can completely push out hate. Thank you guys. Ciao.